On and ready. So let's go live. Going live, and here we are. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 3 of How to DJ with Ableton Live. I know you can see the DJ booth in the corner. We're gonna be over there in a second to check out how to set the audio outputs of that laptop. First thing we're gonna do is start in this screen. This is the DJ template that we started last week, using it just like an in-the-box mixer with some keyboard commands and the mouse on the crossfader. What is different right now? Well, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna set up the audio outputs so you can have your two decks, deck 1 and deck 2, going out to two different channels on a DJ mixer or your audio interface or like a hardware mixer, as I have on screen over there. There's my monitor chat. Turn the volume down. Thank you very much. And I got my little chat window up so I can see you. Say hi when you get here in the chat. I want to know who's on. What is the goal? The goal is to get deck 1 and deck 2 coming out to a physical mixer channel where we can do the volume up and down with the volume fader, and we can do some EQs with the high, mid, and low. That's when it really gets to be fun. So here's what you need to do that. First off, you need an audio interface of some type. So last time we had the audio going out to last time we had each deck going to the main channel or the master channel. This is Live 10. I'm doing this tutorial in Live 10 because that's where the template is. So when you open the template, it's going to be set to the master channel. Master is going to outputs 1 and 2. We want these two decks going to different places. So let's go to our preferences first. Select audio output device. That's the interface I'm using for streaming. Go to output configuration and make sure that your stereo and mono outputs are activated. Now in a bigger interface, stereo outputs would be like 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8. So on the other mixer over here, there's my fingers, we're going to go out two pairs of outputs, 7, 8, and 9, 10. So that's where you find your outputs. And then if you're recording, you can activate your inputs. Right now, we're not recording or doing any looping, so we're not going to bother with that. Then you close your audio preferences, and we can go to each track, set them to external output, external output. Now, this is a small interface that's being used for streaming, so both outputs are going to 1 and 2. On the other laptop, this is going to say output 7 and 8 for deck 1 and outputs 9 and 10 for deck 2. The basic idea is select your audio interface as the output for your sound and put each deck going to a different place. And then actually, you're not even going to see any output on the master channel. Watch this. When I play a track, we have deck 1 coming out to the stream, basically. The master channel has nothing on it. That's fine. You don't need anything on the master channel. That's what it should look like. And then on the other track, I don't have to use my keys. I mean my mouse. The other deck, deck 2. Same thing, we can hear that. Now, what else is different? Notice that the crossfader is in the center. This crossfader is not assigned to anything. In the original template, we had deck A and B, so we could take the crossfader and go across and use the mouse to crossfade between decks. When you have an audio interface and your two decks going out to a hardware mixer, all of your volume and levels and crossfading take place on the hardware mixer by hand. Over there, and we're gonna go there in a second, which means you don't have to use your mouse for any kind of volume control. So we bypass the crossfader and we can actually minimize that view, not even look at it. Once I know the audio outputs and inputs are set properly, we can minimize that view. We don't need to look at it. And there's one more thing that's different. Remember in the original template over on the master channel, we had an effects unit that you could use for transitions and effects or just tweaking stuff if you get bored. Well, I thought since we have two decks and two different audio channels, let's put an effects rack on both decks. So now instead of, when I hit the letters A and S, instead of only seeing EQ3, now I see the whole effects rack, deck 1 effects and deck 2 effects. On deck 1, we still have the EQs set up with kill switches on the number pad 1, 2, and 3. And on deck 2, hit the key S, we have the EQ kill switches mapped 4, 5, and 6. So this template will still work with the same keyboard commands you had in the first one. It's just they are added. There's some more stuff in there that'll help you play. Now, let's just take a look at the other keys. We had the Q and the W key. So I can press Q to see deck 1. Where are we in deck 1? That's the little clip play slot here, and then the W key for the other one. And remember that you can't see a track unless it's playing. Let's stop deck 1 because I'm not mixing right now. Now that deck 2 is playing, I can press the W key and find out where are we in the track so I know when it's time to mix the next audio in. Those are the only changes you need. If you want to take a quick look at what is set up in here, grab a screenshot of the side view or map these out for your keyboard. And one other little update is these square brackets for scene up and scene down. A few people let me know that on a like a Spanish keyboard or something, these square brackets are not, like it requires a shift or something to get that actual key. So if you're in that situation, you could go with the letter O and the letter P and remap those so that you can use O and P to go up and down, 9 and 0 to launch your tracks. And that will give you a really compact, simple little track control to start and stop your music and live. And then you have these keys to see the effects and Q and W to see the music, which means on the keyboard, you can type little numbers quickly to see what you want. And I can't stress this enough. It saves you so much time when you don't need to use the mouse. So now what I want to do, and this is the first time doing this, is we're going to switch over to a different camera view. I'm going to go in the DJ booth over here and show you what it's like with the audio coming out to the mixer. So I'll go here, transition. Now we got the DJ booth on screen. Let me go over to the other side. Here we go. All right, so I'm over here. I got my little mic to talk to you all. I got the laptop and the mixer. Now this is an audio interface as well as a mixing board. So there's a USB cable in the back. That means digital data comes from the laptop over to this thing, gets converted to analog sound and comes into these channels. So this part down here is like an analog mixer, and there's a digital audio interface that goes with the USB cable over here. This is what I use as a DJ mixer, and I hope you can see this well enough. And let me show you the template on screen over there. I'm going to press play with a space bar just for demonstration. Watch the two decks 1 and 2. You can see we have audio coming up over there, 1 and 2. I know you're not going to be able to see this exactly, but on the track outputs, they're set to external out. Deck 1 is out to 7 and 8. Deck 2 is out to 9 and 10. And this mixing board has 10 channels. So deck 1, notice that both these tracks are playing in here. You can see level with the views. The master channel has nothing playing. That's totally fine. That's what you want, because we have output coming up on the decks on the hardware mixer. Hi, I know my head's out of view. So deck 1 is coming up on this channel over here, and deck 2 is coming up on this channel over here. And then finally, just like in the full screen view, I have a DJ FX unit on deck 1 and deck 2. So if I want to do all the stuff with flanger and reverb and filters, I can do that with the DJ FX and commit my mouse to tweaking knobs for the effects unit. Everything else will start and stop and select and all that with the keys. So I'm going to turn this back my way because I cannot DJ upside down while talking to you. And this is going to be a quick stream today. I just want to get the idea of what are these parts. So the laptop is the same thing as the DJ template as before. We've got tracks coming up on the audio interface. And now let's go through the EQ scenario. I'm going to press the letter Q to see where we are in the track. Let's skip forward so we have some bass. Now, if I want to do my EQs, I'm going to hit with the number 1, 2, and 3. Cut the bass on 1. Cut the mids on 2. Cut the highs on 3. Kill everything on all 3. And bring it back in. That's how you can do keyboard DJing, but look at how much more fun it is like this. I have a 3-band EQ. I'm going to cut the lows. Boost lows. Cut. Boost. Let's go to the highs. Boost. Cut. And of course, it's a much smoother feel. It's more fun to tweak a knob or to have your hands on both of them and tweak them together. Then the mid-range on this is a little more developed than a DJ mixer. I've got cut and boost on the mid-range, but I can also pick the frequency. So that allows me to sweep the mid-range and get kind of a filter effect. Let's check out deck 2. So I fade down 7 and 8, fade up 9 and 10. Where are we in this track? I'm going to hit W. Now I can see there's a lot of time left on this track. Where are my EQs over here? I hit the S key. Keyboard 4, cut the bass. Keyboard 5, cut the mids. Keyboard 6, cut the highs. That works, but I think it's going to be more fun to use the EQs on the board. So here's my low, boost, and cut. Low shelf, boost, low shelf, cut. High boost, high cut. Now mid-range, I'm going to boost and cut first. Mid-range boost, mid-range cut. Now I'm going to change the frequency. So it's fun to have a sweepable mid-range. It allows you to pick the mid-range frequency that you want to boost or cut. Let me roll back to How to DJ with Ableton Live Episode 3. I just want to make sure I am seeing chat comments so I don't miss any questions or anything. If you got a question, type it in. Let me know where you're at, how you're doing. Happy to help out with your setups. So this is the setup I use for DJing on Twitch. I'm doing a stream tomorrow on Thursday, and I'll post some promo about that. It's in the evening, US East Coast time. And you'll be able to see me actually play through a whole bunch of tracks for like 2 hours, mix from one to the other. Let me just demonstrate a basic mix over here. So let's say we started off with track 1. Where are we? Press Q. This is getting towards the end of the track. And this makes mixing really fun with Ableton Live because you can mix hands-on on the mixer, whether it's a board like this or a DJ mixer. And you can also have the full track control for looping, stopping and starting, and doing effects and everything. Okay, I just hit the 0 key to start the new beat. And almost right away, I'm fading it up. Let's cut the bass on the new track. This is what we got. Deck 2, Deck 1. I have mute switches. Deck 2 is coming in. Deck 1 is cruising along. I'm going to see how long do I have on Deck 1, press Q. How long until Deck 2 drops? Not so long, press W. So I'm going to unmute Deck 2. And at the same time, I'm going to put the bass up from Deck 2 and down on Deck 1. Now Deck 2 has the bass. Deck 1, bass cut. Let's go even farther. Deck 2, I'm going to cut the highs. Deck 1, I'm going to boost the highs up. So we have a cool mix where we have the lows and highs kind of braided together. Now I'm going to slowly bring down Deck 1 and bring up the high EQ on Deck 2. Deck 1 is all the way out. Deck 2 is all the way in. That's how much fun it is. It's really amazing to use 2 changes at the same time. So on Deck 2, you could move the bass. On Deck 2, you can move the bass on both tracks at the same time, or move the volume on one track and EQ it. It's really an amazing world when you start playing with sound and doing a couple things at the same time. Playing from live. Now I'm going to hit the W key, see what's happening over here on my decks, and get ready for the next song. Well, how do I know what song to bring in? This is where headphone queuing comes in. We have a solo button on this board. A solo button. PFL master. Solo, 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 solo bus. There we go. All right, all right. And that allows you to listen in your headphones to what mix is coming up. Now, I think the stream is going to change when I do this, but this allows you to play different stuff in the headphones without hearing the music. And I think that's going to need to be a little bit louder for the stream like that. Okay. So here's Deck 1 coming up. I'm going to preview Deck 2 over here. So this right now is what the room is hearing. People in the room are hearing Deck 2. Secretly, I'm hearing Deck 1. I don't think that's the right track. How about this one? Nah. Yeah, I know this track, so I cut the bass on Deck 1, bring the highs down a little bit. Deck 2 got plenty of time, so Deck 1. Now we can start fading in Deck 1. So Deck 1 has this sound, Deck 2 has this sound. I hope this demonstration is working for you. Cut the highs on Deck 2, bring up the highs on Deck 1. Pull Deck 2 down a little bit, push Deck 1 up a little bit.
Everything goes in opposites. If you do something on one track, on one deck, do the opposite on the other deck. So now I'm cutting the bass out of deck 2, bringing the bass up on deck 1. And deck 2 is gone. The main idea of what we're doing is pressing the headphone cue switch to hear the different decks when something else is playing. In the original template, you couldn't do this. If you press the cue switch, the output was the same as stereo 1 and 2 for the main music, so it wouldn't change anything. Now what we have is a separate headphone output. So when I press the cue switch, like I could hear only my voice, like this, I could hear only deck 1 or only deck 2. And on a DJ mixer, you have a big fat button right at the top of the channel. You press for preview or cue that lets you hear the other record. That's why DJs go like this. This ear, you're hearing the music in the room that everybody else is listening to. And this ear, you're hearing the new record that nobody in the room can hear. It's your secret preview. You put it on, cue it up, literally, get the timing to start right, get the EQs set, beat match it, and then when it's the right moment in the live track, you fade in the other one. So that's enough of an intro of how you can use 2 channels of a mixing board to do a DJ set, which is what normal DJing is, like CDJs or vinyl records. What you're doing is sending 2 decks to a mixer. This is more like a recording and performing mixing board because it has multiple channels. But if you only look at these 2 channels right here, the important thing we have is a volume fader, a headphone preview, a mute switch. Then we've got balance and some other aux return effect stuff, high, mid, and low EQs. And then at the top, there's input gain. We're not using it because our input's taken care of from Ableton Live, but if this was a DJ mixer, you would have the very top knob for gain or preamp gain to get the volume of each CD or each record or each deck matched. So that's what you would do. Let's go over to the other side again.
Okay. Here we go. So now I'm back on the big screen, and I don't have a lot more to show you on this. This is a short stream today, but it's really important. The idea is that, to review, you set up your audio interface and assign your outputs so they both go to external out, not to master, not to main. When you're playing, it's totally normal. Your main channel is going to have nothing showing because each deck is going to a separate place. Over on the other side of my hardware mixer, deck 1, there was extra channels here. It said 7 and 8 for the outputs. Deck 2 was going to 9 and 10. That allows me to have a bunch of controls really easy by hand. The first one is the volume control. I had that on the hardware mixer, so I don't need to use the mouse on the fader. Next up on my EQs, I had all these EQ knobs on the mixing board physically, so I don't have to use the mouse for that. And the big advantage of that is doing 2 things at once. So on deck 1, I could take the low EQ and slowly roll it off. And at the same time on deck 2, I could take the low EQ and slowly roll it up. The key idea here is anything you do on one deck, you do the opposite on the other. If I'm fading, let's say I'm fading deck 1 slowly out. On the hardware mixer, I'm fading deck 2 slowly up. That could be a crossfader, or you could do it with 2 faders by hand like I did. If you're cutting the mid-range out of one deck, you can cut the highs and lows from the other deck so that it's always balanced and you're always hearing a nice blend of interesting sounds. And of course, you have to keep your eye on your master level to make sure the room is staying at the same volume. And I hope this stream sounded good. It's a little weird to do a stream in 2 places at once with different headphones, but I think we'll find out on the replay. So what else did we do? We bypassed the crossfader. So in the crossfader, we did not use this in the Ableton template at all. You don't need it because we're using the hardware mixer for the crossfade. So in your template, you unassign deck 1 and deck 2, get them off the crossfader because we're not using it. And another thing is having the effects units on board so you can play them and do some fun stuff live. So I'm going to hit the letter A, pull up the deck 1 effects. Now when I'm playing, let's say I want to select a filter. And so in this situation, the only thing I'm doing with the mouse is hitting the effects depth or effects selector. That's it. For everything about track up and down, I can use my scene select and my track lock buttons. And for everything about volume and EQing, I'd be doing it over on the hardware mixer, which frees up the mouse to do only one thing, which is playing with the effects at whatever moment I feel like is a good time to do it. Oops, I'm on deck 2 effects. Let's get deck 1. And these effects are much more fun when you can do them separately on 2 decks. So if I want to, I'll give you an example. We're in a breakdown with deck 1. I'm going to go to deck 2, low pass filter, put the effects in full wet, get ready, and launch. Why did I just freeze up? Now I can undo the filter to make the mix. Let's cut the bass on deck 2. And we drop the bass on the other track. That's a little bit wonky, I know, because I'm playing both outputs into the stream instead of using the mixing board hardware like I was displaying. So I think I'll stop here. I think you get the idea. Let me know if you have any questions, drop a comment, and I can put a link under here where you can find the DJ template on Gumroad. If you already got the template, this video tells you how to adapt it to an audio interface so you can mix with 2 channels live. And the next thing I'm going to do is save this template from today and add it to the Gumroad product so you have your choice of downloading a DJ template for a single laptop with no audio hardware, or downloading a template that has the audio outputs set for like 1 and 2 and then 3 and 4. So if you have a 4-channel audio interface, you can send your 2 decks out to 2 different places and connect them into your DJ mixer with cables or any kind of mixing board you have, really. That's the main idea with that. I'm Steve Knotts. You can always find me, steve@mixatexture.com. Let me know if you have any questions or where you are coming from and what you want to do with DJing. I recently heard from some fun comments that a lot of people don't want to be a mainstream DJ and they want to know how to play their own original live sets with their own music, which is, I'm all about that. In the future episodes, we're going to add in MIDI instruments to play some live solos on top of a DJ track, as well as audio effects that go out to the mixer and come back in to Ableton Live. So you can basically use Ableton effects with tracks on a hardware mixing board. And that's really amazingly fun, especially if you have something like a singer doing a live vocal on top of your DJ set and you want to loop the vocals. Well, Ableton Live lets you do that. It's built for that, and I can show you how to do the routing and everything. So we're going in a little bit more of an expanded direction besides just standing in a booth with strobe lights, which is awesome, but Ableton lets you do more. So that's where we're going with this whole stream of how to DJ with Ableton Live. I'm going to wrap it up for now. I'm Steve Knotts. Last thing is, let me show you the DJ template. This is on Gumroad. I'll drop the link in the comments, and it works for Live 10 Suite and up. $25, great deal. It's all mapped, ready to go, and it comes with some practice tracks for you to play with. So that's it for now, and I'll check you out later. Hey, good benign. Yeah, thanks. All right, check you all next time. Thanks for watching.